Le bilinguisme a un cadre d'expression et de formation au Cameroun. English for All, votre centre de formation professionnelle agréé par le MINEFOP. English for All, c'est la solution adéquate pour le déblocage du parler en anglais tout en améliorant votre expression écrite. English for All, c'est une nouvelle méthode d'apprentissage de la langue de Shakespeare qui réjouira le cœur de ceux qui ne savent rien en anglais, même pas dire ABC. English for All, c'est une formation solide avec à la clé l'organisation d'une soutenance de fin de formation dans votre domaine technique en anglais et d'une cérémonie de démonstration du franc-parler. English for All, c'est un cadre équipé, une médiathèque disponible pour la formation audio-vidéo. English for All, un personnel rompu à la tâche avec un programme de formation souple et adapté à votre emploi du temps journalier. Suivez vos cours 2 fois par semaine, le matin, l'après-midi ou le soir jusqu'à 21h. Exprimez-vous parfaitement en anglais après 1 an. English for All, formation accélérée de 3, 4 et 5 mois et préparation aux examens internationaux comme TOEFL, ALS. English for All est situé rue lycée de Tsinga, face camerounaise des eaux. Contact 99 79 48 68 78 22 21 35. English for All, un minimum de dépenses pour un maximum de satisfaction.
Ladies and gentlemen, mesdames et messieurs, bonjour. Permettez-moi de commencer un peu en français parce que nous sommes ici pour le fait du bilinguisme. Nous sommes le jury qui est devant vous, ravis de vous connaître si nombreux. Vous êtes là, nous savons bien que c'est pour venir encourager les candidats à bien articuler l'anglais et le français. Et nous vous disons merci pour cela. Le jury vous invite de vous asseoir et nous allons commencer. Ladies and gentlemen, dear students of English for All, dear parents, dear friends, dear mothers and maybe dear fiancés, good morning once more. You know, all over the world, there are only 3 countries which are bilingual. If you are a linguist and you read English books on bilingualism, you will notice that Cameroon is among them, Canada is among them, and Vanuatu, which is a small island, is a bilingual country. Then we would like to encourage our government for all what he does in order to make us, I mean the country, Cameroon, to be bilingual. When I go through the handout of English for All, I usually see the right there, Cameroon is bilingual, but Cameroonians are not bilingual. That's why Mr. Kwai who is the proprietor of this school, makes efforts in order to make all Cameroonians, not the country, to be bilingual. This is the fourth time or the third time we are supervising presentations of term paper here. This is the third time or the fourth time. Then candidates have proven what they are capable of. And we think this other time they are going to show what they are capable to say in English. Then we thank them and we would like to encourage them. In order to accomplish our task, I will introduce myself and then I'll give the floor to the main examiner, the chief examiner, to introduce himself, and then the supervisor of the work will introduce himself, and then we'll give the floor to our candidates. I am called Mr. Philip Bonges. I do many things. I do many things. I don't even know where to start. I don't even know where to start, but what you have to keep in your mind is I have been teaching English for almost 16 years or 17 years. Yes, I started teaching English at the Baturi Grammar School. And then I went to Nikki. I went to Southwest. I later on come to Pilot Linguistic Center of Yahoo. But for the moment, I am an associate lecturer of English at Nikki. I teach there. And I'm a diplomat because I studied diplomacy. And then, for the moment, I am chargé d'études at the Ministry of Public Contracts, Marché Public. And this topic interests me, how the government is fighting against corruption. That's why I am so interested in this topic. Then, let me give the floor to the chief examiner to introduce himself.
Thank you, Mr. President, for giving me the floor. I will not say much about myself. Only say that I am also an English associate lecturer. I also teach in many institutions of higher education in the country. Actually, I am working with French Institute of Cameroon. But for now, I am an English teacher. And this topic, the first topic we are having today is interesting because I went to Catholic University for a master and I studied governance and public actions. That is why this topic is very interesting for me. We're going to see how the candidate succeeded in writing about it. So that's all about it. Thank you very much.
Supervisor, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. My name is Mr. Christian, so I will not speak much. Simply saying that I'm a permanent English teacher here at English for All. And I was very glad to supervise the work of Mr. Kerry Ginza. So we are going to listen to you. Thank you very much.
Crépin Eric Guy Tambere wrote about the protection of public fortune in the legal Cameroonian system.
Thank you, Mr. President of the jury, for giving the floor. Mr. the President of the jury, honorable members of the jury, dear teachers of English for All, dear classmates, dear invitees, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I am Belengite Eric Crépin, student in law at University of Yaoundé Toussoir, and today is a real pleasure for me to be in front of you in order to present this piece of work entitled The Protection of the Public Fortune in the Legal Cameroonian System. Allow me, before starting with the presentation itself, to remember a passage of what said the President of the Republic, His Excellency Paul Biya, in occasion of his traditional speech to the nation, December 2012. He said, I quote, "How many schools, hospitals, point of water could have been built if people did not have diverted money of the state?" So, honorable members of the jury, ladies and gentlemen, we can understand by this statement that infringements on the public fortune are a real phenomenon here in Cameroon. But fortunately, the protection of that public fortune is also a real worry for the Cameroonian state. But now, what is the public fortune? We can define it as the set of movable property and real asset of the state. So, state to make operational its organs, its structures, needs a lot of resources. In addition to it, we don't have to forget that Cameroon wants to be the nation around 2035. That is why it is important for our country to mobilize a lot of resources and to protect those which already exist. So, the question now is to know how does Cameroonian law organize the protection of that public fortune. And to answer this question, I divided my work into 4 chapters. The first chapter is devoted to the legal incrimination in matter of protection of the public fortune. So, here in this chapter, I present the different incriminations provided by the Cameroonian law. And as we can observe, it also exists a lot of codes which protect this public fortune. So we have, for example, the penal code, where we can find incrimination like corruption in section 135. We can also find embezzlement in section 184. Just name them. Then we have another code, the custom code, where we can find custom fraud. We also have the book of fiscal procedure, where we can find fiscal evasion. Just name them. So, as we can see, it exists here in Cameroon a lot of information in order to protect that public fortune. Then we have the second chapter. The second chapter is devoted to the preventive fight against infringement on the public fortune. Maybe we are here to talk about punishment, I know, but we took that it was also necessary to mention here that some measures are implemented after in order to protect that public fortune. So we have the protection by state control organ. And among state control organs, we can have, for example, the National Anti-Corruption Commission, CONAC. We can also have the National Agency for Financial Investigation. We can also have ministerial cells of fight against corruption. And we cannot forget, of course, the highest control of the state through the Budgetary and Financial Disciplinary Committee, which fights every day against infringement here in Cameroon. Then we have the actions of non-state control organs, and among them we can quote, for example, the action of the GICAM. So GICAM fights here in Cameroon against illegal trade. We can also have a non-governmental organization, Action Citoyenne, and we also have the action of religious institutions, Catholicism, just name them. Then we have the third chapter. Our third chapter is devoted to the non-repressive sanctions against infringements on the public fortune. It is important to notice here at first that when we talk about non-repressive sanctions, it means that we are not in front of the penal judge. So we have among those non-repressive sanctions, we have, for example, civil sanctions, where we see we see damages, yes, and then we have administrative sanctions, where we can have patrimonial sanctions, and professional sanctions. Among patrimonial sanctions, we can have, for example, transaction, we can have suspension of financing, and among professional sanctions, we can have forfeiture, just name them. Then we have our fourth chapter. The fourth chapter is devoted to the penal repression of the infringement on the public fortune. So, here in the first part of our chapter, we put emphasis on embezzlement because it is a real plague in our society, and also because since 2012 we have a new jurisdiction here in Cameroon which is competent about embezzlement which amount is superior to 50 million francs. So, someone who is guilty of embezzlement could be in front of common jurisdiction. When I say common jurisdiction, we see the penal court, and when the amount is superior to 15 million francs, you will be in front of special criminal law court. So the action of the state here is to recover the money invested instead of punish those people. Then we have sanctions in which concern other forms of infringement on the public fortune. So we have sanctions in which concern concussion, in which concern corruption, in which concerns destruction or degradation of public funds, in which concern embezzlement, yes I see. So we have different punishment here in Cameroon. So the aim of this topic is that every people must know that we have to protect our public fortune because our country wants to be emergent. It is important. It is not only the fact of the Cameroonian state. Everybody is concerned on this fight. That is why I want to sensitize every people here. Then, because I know that any human being work is perfect, I hope that with your suggestions,
Any human being work
it's not perfect. I'm sorry, it's not. Thank you, Mr. President. It's not perfect. I hope that with your remarks, suggestions, and even your questions, I will improve the quality of this work. So, Mr. the President of the jury, honorable members of the jury, dear teachers with all academic titles, dear classmates, distinguished invitees, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your kind attention.
Okay, you can sit down. Are you not francophone? Francophone, yes. I would like to ask from the audience, are you not impressed by what he has done? Yes. I think you are impressed. Yes. For a francophone. Yes. That is to say, when somebody does something which is good or very good, there is no doubt. When a candidate is a good candidate, even you who are there, the audience, you know that this candidate is a good candidate. But this said, it does not mean that the candidate lacks mistakes. The chief examiner is going to pinch you and see where you have offended him. Then, before we start, there are little problems of pronunciation. Instead of, from what I heard, saying real, I heard something like real. Real. Yes, real. Instead of saying agency, I heard something like agency, something like that. And to me, it seems as if you have an overuse of the definite article there. Overuse. Then administrative, I heard something like administrative. Administrative. Okay. Then without much ado, the chief examiner is going to appreciate your work. He's not going to scatter you, but he's going to show you, to indicate some things which will permit you to improve your language. Then, Mr. Chief Examiner, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Don't mind the color of my suit. It's black. It's not because my suit is black that this work is also black. But okay, I read with a lot of interest the topic of, what do you say your name is? Okay. Because I thought when you were presenting yourself, you were introducing yourself, you said, Mele, I don't know your right name. Do you know your right name?
Yes, I know my name.
Possible, huh? You may grow up with another name. At the end, your father gave you another one when you become intelligent. Okay? So, I said I went with a lot of interest in work. I told you that I did governance and public action somewhere. So, but before we go to that, I would like you to open your page, the cover. Your cover, you wrote Republique du Cameroun, and you write Père, Travail, Patrie. Capital or small letters?
Small letters.
You have to change. At least for the first letters of the word. It must be capital. P is capital, T is capital, and P is also capital. And you go the other side with the English version. And you do the same with the English version. Peace, work, and for the land. Thank you very much. After that, just two spaces down, you said regional delegation for the center, and you wrote center with ER. I want you to make the difference between American English and British English. And I hope you are studying British English here. All right? So when you write center is RE, not ER. Okay? And even inside the work, we found a lot of words like that. When you're writing a verb like organize, and you write Z instead of S, Z is American English, S is British English. Okay? So I want you to open your page on acknowledgement. And you said my special thanks go to my supervisor, Mr. And you wrote the first names of your supervisor in small letters because you want him to be small. So first letters of the first names, Francois, capital F, and Christian, capital C. All right? And inside the same document, you wrote, my thanks also go to my senior brother. I know senior divisional officer, but I don't know, I said, but I know my elder brother. Do you see it like that? Yes. Elder brother. But it's true that you wrote senior first because you wrote junior down, talking about your junior brother. So since they are same adjectives, you just shift them. So another problem with capital letter for your Taku, Dieudonné, Martial. Okay? And even for your friends, Stéphane, Cédric, Diamo, all those things. Bem, Elsa, Karina, Hortense, Michel, all those things, you must write them in capital letter. This is all with the acknowledgement. I would like us to move very fast to the table of contents. Are you there? The table of contents. Dedication. It's all right. Acknowledgement without S. But I don't know. When you put S here, what happened? When you're writing here, you didn't put S. Acknowledgement, S. And before the introduction, I was expecting to read the table of contents, because when you have this page here, you also have, you must have it here too, so that you are on the same page. And when I read, the page is not. But you present the page and you cannot write the page in. You understand what I mean?
Yes, I did.
So you have to add, in between presentation of English for all and introduction, you write table of contents. And you put the exact number of the page. Okay?
Yes.
And I also have a problem with your presentation, the presentation of your headings and subheadings throughout your work. What I mean is, for example, when you say chapter 1, you write it in bold ink, like this, very black. But I expected you to do the same with the first part. And when you write 1A, the way you did it here may confuse the reader. For example, because you say 1, after chapter 1, you say fraudulent appropriations. You say 1A, 2B, 1B, or you say A1, A2. You show that you are still on A, then you are writing on the second paragraph of A or the first paragraph of A. You see it like that?
Yes, sir.
So you have to change, to correct the way you presented your table of contents here. I think I will not have enough to say about this. I will give you my copy so that you correct the mistakes. But I would like you to open on page 6. Page 6, first paragraph in the middle. You said these preventive measures concerns all the social actors, because it must not be forgotten that to protect the public wealth, the public wealth is, I would like you to say, is everybody's business. Not it is a business of everybody. It becomes very heavy. Okay? It's everybody's business. Okay? Another problem with state with small letters. Anyway, we go to page 7. Page 7. No, page 6 at the end, the last sentence. Government ministerial cells of fight against corruption are responsible for. And when you say responsible for, the last word of that sentence is a preposition. So when you start listing the verbs, you must have ing form. So the first one must be ensuring effective implementation, informing. You did it well with the other ones, but the first one was wrong. Okay? And you did the same mistake. Page 9. Let's go to page 9. You realize it. You say, according to section 2 of the text, its missions are monitoring and evaluating, collecting, conducting, diffusing or identifying, reforming, okay, all those things, okay? I think I will stop here. I will give you my copy for correction. The conclusion, do I have anything on conclusion? So, on page 22, you should have a problem with that figures. The way of writing CFA francs, or F like you are writing in French. So, the conclusion is there, but I had problems with the conclusion. We said something. It is very, very important to notice here that the state of Cameroon puts a lot of emphasis on the recovery of the money than on the penalties. And I said, I am not sure. That sentence, can you explain the sentence to us? You said, conclusion, huh? Yes. It is very important to notice here that the state of Cameroon puts a lot of emphasis on the recovering of the money than on the penalties. I said, I am not sure. What you said, yes. Can you explain?
Yes, I can try to explain. What I mean is just that since 2012, we have a new jurisdiction here in Cameroon.
Yes.
So I think that
SEC.
yes,
It's
SEC.
special.
Criminal law code.
Yes.
Yes, and I think that with this scout, the aim of the state is to recover money, because we have the possibility for the state to release those people. So it depends on the will of the Cameroonian state. So it depends. But I think that the first aim is to recover that money.
Thank you very much. So the last thing is bibliography and webography. I'll first tell you webography, which is written in French. Have you seen it? Yes, the last page. Written in French. With E-I-E. You see? What do you have to write there? Why?
Why? Yes.
And when you write webography, you must give the date. The date you went to internet to have the documents, or you have to read the information you wanted. Okay? You must write the date. And here the presentation is too bad. The way you present your bibliography. You still have to work on that, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Examiner. Just a small question. After going through the work of this candidate, do you think the English is good or acceptable?
The English is very good, in fact.
Not only good, but
It's very good, because I read it without. I didn't
Clap
stop
for
when
him.
I started.
Clap for him. All this applause, you are going to pay for it. Because the jury will continue to ask you questions, and the audience too. The audience is going to bombard you with questions. How so far you master English, and at the end, you are going to give us a summary, a brief summary of your work in French. So that you shouldn't be surprised. But before we give the opportunity to the audience to ask you questions, I would like me, as president of the jury, to give us a clear idea on the concept you used in your work. Is there a difference between your supervisor will have the floor to defend you? Could you give us the difference between concoction, embezzlement, and theft?
Okay, what we have to say at first is that those incriminations are provided by the Cameroonian Penal Code. So, when we talk about concussion, for example, it's provided by section 135 of our Penal Code. So, penal code. So, in this section, this section defines concussion as the fact for a civil servant to grant some exoneration, some fraudulent exoneration to someone who needs service. So I think that it is. So then we have embezzlement. Embezzlement is provided by section 184. So we can define embezzlement as the fact for a civil servant, because we are talking here about a public fortune. So it is the fact for a civil servant to maintain fraudulently goods of the state. So you ask the difference between embezzlement,
Concoction, embezzlement, and theft. Theft, that comes from the verb to steal.
to steal.
Yes, theft.
Okay. To steal something is what is taking this thing without the how can I say?
Define it according to the government. Take into consideration government and is theft something that is linked with government or linked with an individual. And embezzlement linked as related to government or to a human being.
So we can say that theft is the fact for someone to take something without
Take it malignantly.
Yes.
Malignantly.
So I think that we have the difference between those definitions.
Thank you. Okay, you audience, you have 3 questions to test our candidates.
Good morning, Mr. President.
Good morning,
ladies and gentlemen. My name is SOUTENANCE. I started to learn English from January.
Of this year?
Yeah.
Okay, congrats.
Okay. My case, I don't hear very well the meaning of the topic.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't hear very much.
Yes, I don't hear.
Yeah, I don't hear very much. I don't understand.
Understand the meaning of the topic. Okay, first question.
By chance. Yes, the question I would like to know is Mr. Mbele said about the concussion in his work. So I would like Mr. Mbele explain more what you understand by concussion.
Étant donné que je suis venue après son exposé, je n'ai pas I try to speak English, but I don't learn
Speak English, you came a bit late.
What is the meaning of fortune in the terminus system?
For fortune?
I don't understand.
I
I don't understand very well the meaning of the topic.
Of the topic?
Yes, the same question with my neighbor.
Aha, you want
Questions. So I will start with the first question. Okay, the first question was to know the meaning of my topic. So I just want to let people know that here in Cameroon we cannot take fraudulent
here in Cameroon.
In Cameroon.
Because the pronunciation, even France, don't say France. Pronunciation is the same as in French. Here in Cameroon. Here in France.
Thank you, sir. So here in Cameroon, we cannot take fraudulently money of the state without being punished. So that is the goal of my topic, to show those different incrimination which exist here in Cameroon in order to protect that public fortune. So, my dear, I don't know if you understand me very well when I try to explain it to you. So it just means that here in Cameroon we can observe that some people don't make the difference between their own fund and the fund of the state. So that is why it is important for everybody, not only for the civil servants or public accountants, but for everybody to know that we cannot take it fraudulently. And as I said in my presentation, we want to be emergent around 2035. So it is important, very, very important, to be behind the state instead of being against the state.
Okay.
So is it okay?
In other words, what you would like to say is Cameroon as government has its property. And then it is a gendarme of its property. Then there are rules which protect the property of the state. In other words, then Cameroon protects its property, and it has put to place some legal measures in order to protect the property. Thank you. You're welcome.
Well, recommendation. Yes, what I can say about recommendation is that we have interest to enact some law, because we have adopted some laws, but they are not enacted now. So we have every day we understand, for example, we listen to the radio, the TV, that people don't want to declare their funds. So to declare the funds. So we have to implement the Article 66 of our Constitution. So I think that it will be a good thing if we really want to protect that public fortune.
But even in France, it wasn't done. You know the case of Calisac?
Not really, sir.
So you don't listen to
Difficult case now.
you don't listen to the news, my friend. You know Calisac?
Yes.
Okay, The jury would like to thank Mr. Mbele for the work that he has presented. The jury is going to retrieve for 1 minute and then we'll come back. We'll come back to listen to Rachel Nuke. Is she here? Ah, okay. Then please sit down. When we come back, we will come in order to prove us how tough you are. Okay, fine, thank you. Then, ladies and gentlemen, mesdames et messieurs, okay. Mr. Sepembele, Itambele. The jury is not going to sanction. The jury would like to appreciate the input in this work, the effort you have put in order to prove today that you have become good and real bilingual. Then, after having listened to you, this is what the jury has said. The speech of presentation, you have got 2/2, fluency 3.5/4, accuracy 1.5/2, problematic, your problematic was clear 2/2, argumentation 6.5/8, and your personality. Everybody here. Nobody cannot say the contrary here, except the person who is jealous. Except then you have got 2/2. Then the overall mark is 17.5. In her speech of presentation, we think she's going to introduce herself. She has talked about, or she has written about, a topic that concerns everybody here. The topic is obesity. And since nowadays Cameroonians eat too well, this topic concerns you and it concerns me. To be obese is not a difficult task now. Then, without much ado, we are going to give the floor to the supervisor because we have introduced ourselves here. The supervisor is going to introduce himself and then say something about the candidate. At the background there, please. Please, here. Listen.
Me, Christian, I'm an English teacher and also an English teacher at English for All. What I can say as far as the candidate in front of us is that when the candidate approached me with this topic, frankly speaking, I was frightened. As you earlier said, it is a topic that concerns all of us. Obesity for me is a relevant topic. And I think this topic sounds as a warning and a form of sensitization, to all of us and to the public, about the importance and our eating habits Yes. So what I can say as far as the candidate is concerned, you know, she's a student reading biochemistry, level 5. University student, of course. Reading
You're going to hear good things from her.
So this is a topic I think she's versed with, and it has a link with what she does, you know, every day. So I think this is what I can say. And since she came here, you know, despite the fact that I was too busy because I got married on the 9th of March.
Clap for
So I was too busy, but still, she said, no, you must finish this thing with me. So I said, okay, and with the courage and the enthusiasm, you know, the candidate had pushed me to put aside certain things and to work with her during late hours. You could imagine what an organization of a marriage entails.
What will your wife say?
And your wife will too. What
So that is it. So this is what I can say as a summary as far as the candidate is concerned. Thank you, Mr. President.
You're welcome. Then, Richelle, we give you 10 minutes to present your work, and at the end, as if the gentleman was here did, you will give us a few words in French in order to prove us that you've become a real bilingual student.
Thank you, Mr. the President of the jury, honorable members of the jury, dear teachers with all academic titles, dear classmates, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
I am very honored to have been given the opportunity to address you today in this occasion of our defense and to present this piece of work entitled Obesity. Before everything, allow me to introduce myself. I am Richelle, a student in biochemistry at the University of Yaoundé 1. In fact, obesity is a disease or a physical condition due to a bad use of nutrients in association with a sedentary lifestyle. According to the World Health Organization, an obese person is a person who has accumulated so much body fat that it might have a negative effect on their health, leading to reduced life expectancies. The choice of this topic was motivated by a sizable number of factors. We notice nowadays that people do not take into consideration what they eat. With the arrival of new technologies, internet, washing machine, dishwasher, they are leading a more sedentary life compared to our parents or forefathers who had no means in the past. That is to say that some decade ago, shopping consisted in walking down the road to the high street where one could find grocer, market banks. But in these days, people move from using their feet to driving their cars to get provisions. This causes a reduction of physical activity, whose function is to favor the use of illegitimate nutrients, with view to limit their storage. That's why we have most of women or men with a weight higher than it should be, as seen at the end of our document. This phenomenon is really widespread all over the world. Considered in the past as a sign of well-being or prosperity, becomes now a bit worrying because of its impact on health, economy, and human and society. To organize this study, it is subdivided into 5 chapters. In chapter 1, our interest is based on the description, evaluation, and types of obesity. We can assess obesity with the body mass index, which is a useful way to estimate a healthy body health. It is a statistical measurement derived from your height and your weight, and it is calculated by dividing the subject mass by the square of his or her height. According to the World Health Organization, define an adult whose BMI, body mass index, is below 18.5 as on the weight. 18.5, 24.9. 24.9 as normal weight. 25 to 29.9 as overweight, 30 or over obese. According to the regional distribution of that part within the body, we have genoid obesity, which is the accumulation of fat in the hips and the feet, whereas android obesity is the accumulation of fat at the abdominal and visceral level, qualified as the most dangerous because of the links with cardiovascular disease. Chapter 2, on the other hand, treats the prevalence of obesity in the world. That is to say, the trend of obesity in America, China, Mexico, and in the particular case, Cameroon. We noticed through investigation made recently by the US that 28% of the Cameroonian population is obese and likely to reach 35% in the next 5 years. This situation can be attributed to changes in eating that nutritional needs in more westernized. Chapter 3 and 4 tackle the causes and consequences of obesity. Obesity is most commonly caused by a combination of excessive energy intake from carbohydrates, fats, and protein. However, there is an intake of fatty food, sugary food, and beverage rather than water and food that are rich in fibers, micronutrients, or vitamins. We all know that fiber nutrients, because of their quantity, contribute to our satiation, and when its consumption is limited, they are risk of overfeeding, consequently gaining weight. Obesity can also be due to the intake of medicine. There are certain medicines that can make patients put on weight. There are pills, neuroleptic, contraceptive methods. Obesity can also be due to the lack of physical activity. Indeed, the less you move around, the fewer the calories you burn. So avoid being sedentary. Moreover, obesity can also have a hereditary causes. It is demonstrated that 80% of the offspring of 2 obese parents are obese. The consequences are health problems, including cancer, respiratory problems, diabetes, hypertension, just to name a few. With obesity, for obese persons, there are a probability of dying from cancer of the breast, of the prostate, stomach, even, while women are at increased risk of dying from cancer of the breast, cervix, and ovary. With obesity, there are generally higher amount of insulin, whose function is to facilitate the entry of food in the cell. So it's that insulin that we elevate the blood pressure, and when the blood pressure is higher, we can have a shock. That's why we have hypertension. Obesity can also lead to many problems, including disadvantages in employment. They are less likely to be hired for a job, and they are less likely to be promoted. Because of their appearance, there are too much prejudices and discrimination against people who are obese. Chapter 5, lastly, we handle the treatment of obesity. To fight against obesity, there are several strategies to produce successful weight loss. These include dietary changes, physical activity, and medical prescription considered as the last resort. Medical prescription can be medicine, surgery. Medicine, anti-obesity drugs may be taken to inhibit appetite or to suppress appetite or to inhibit fat absorption. There are Olista can tell me which are appetite suppressant. Why surgery, on the other hand, consists to alter the stomach or the small intestine so you are enabled to consume much food a day. Consequently, you reduce the total number of calories you consume each day. Ladies and gentlemen, my purpose when choosing this topic this morning was to make people be aware about the fact that obesity is a phenomenon which can really affect the life of someone. Generally, people eat everything and every time without knowing the consequences in the long run. Obesity is a reality, even if we don't speak about it in our society. There are people who suffer from it. Obesity starts suddenly and is generally complicated to cure. So I want people to be sensitized about it and change their behavior as far as food and sport are concerned in order to avoid such a situation. Mr. the President of the jury, members of the examining panel, mindful of the fact that the work of nature cannot be perfect, we hereby humbly submit this work to you for your constructive remarks and criticism that will go a long way to upgrade its scientific nature. Thank you for your kind attention.
This is a lady. You simply wanted to say that this is a lady. If you don't know, this is a lady. Because when a lady stands in front of men and she speaks freely and fluently, we simply accept that she is a good student, a very good student involved in the learning of English language. But there are some little mistakes of pronunciation, even of English language. Instead of saying Mr. the President of the jury, you would like to say Mr. President of the jury. You omit the Mr. President of the jury. Okay, before giving the floor to the chief examiner, then I would like to focus a bit, with his permission, on the dedication. You said this work is dedicated to my cousin who allows me to do the training and encourage me a lot. You see here, these two verbs, to allow and to encourage. One shows a permanent action, and another one shows something that happens before you become what you are now. That's why I would like to propose that this work is dedicated to my cousin who allowed me to do the training and encourages me, because the encouragement is something that is permanent. He will still continue to encourage you even after this. And then you said, I also dedicated this work to those who want. Yes. Aha. So you see, I also dedicate this work to those who want to speak English and to the whole, not and the whole, and to the whole family who helped me. And you can't tell the rest. Who helped me with their support. This may be as it's a type of redundancy. It's redundant. Okay, then thank you, Richelle. Then you are going to face the jury now. Chief examiner.
What type?
So, I am 62 kilograms. Divided into 1 point. I will give it in French.
1 point. 1 point.
Okay.
Yes.
I will compare the result according to the norms established by the law or by the board of yes.
It was nice. I see that you know what you know. Anyway, so I will start with the end of the page. The end of the page. All right. When I read your biography, I wanted to collapse because I didn't see anything there. But when I read you, because I read you, I wanted to know I am already straightening to be obese. So I read it to try curing myself. But when I read you on page 2, you talk about acts and lies. Who wrote a book on 2007? On page 2.
This person are fat. Yes.
Then me, I am not the best.
I have to verify if
To
control whether you are or not.
With this calculation.
Yes, simple calculation.
Okay, thank you. Second question. Is there a difference between drinks and beverage? Give us example. We talked about food, drinks, and beverage. Is there a difference between drinks and beverage? You give us examples.
I don't think that there is a great difference between drinks and beverage.
What is a camphor? Is it a beverage or a drink?
It's a drink. It's a drink.
What's Coca-Cola?
It's a beverage.
Then it's a problem.
It's a problem. It's
Yes. You talk about beverages when somebody can
prepare a potion, you see, to give to somebody to drink. That's a beverage. Or when you take this fever glass, citronelle. Citronelle is not a drink, it's a beverage. Okay? Yes, that makes the difference between drinks and beverage. Yes. Thank you. And then I used to hear through the air somebody who is named or Tempo or Perenco. He talks about DZCH. Okay, is it the same calculation? Do you think about it or it's something different? 3ZCH. We used to talk about 3ZCH.
There are various other tools to estimate a healthy body weight. The body mass index is one of the tools, but we have others such as the measure of standpoint thickness. Yes. We also have a biometer. You can measure the waist to hip circumference ratio. For example, for an android obesity, waist to hip circumference ratio has to be higher than 1 in men and higher than 0.85 in women. In genoid obesity is when your height to waist to hip circumference ratio is inferior to 0.85 in women and inferior.
My problem is when we talk about 3Z, we know 3 is a figure. Z stands for what? And H stands for what? That's my problem. Do you know? Do you have an idea? Okay. Then, ladies and gentlemen, is there a difference, to conclude, is there a difference between obesity and pregnancy? If there are women who are obese and you think that they are pregnant,